Hello, and welcome back to the vlog. This is the Fili Daily Vlog. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Gus.
I'm Tim.
I'm Amber.
And together we make Fili Creative, a audiovisual company in central Kansas. So thank you for tuning in again. We usually start out with a little bit of an update on where the coronavirus is. So starting on kind of the global scale, there's 1.4 million cases with 83,000 deaths. If you look at the global case curve, there does seem to be some flattening of the global curve, which
That's
is
good.
obviously
That's good to hear.
Yeah, obviously that's great news. It is remarkable, I think, and worth pointing out that the United States has, with 400,000 cases, it has like nearly a third, maybe even more than a third of the global cases, which I just think is
Wow.
yeah,
That's super crazy.
yeah. It I'm not sure what that should tell us or how that should affect our our way of thinking, but it's just it's just surprising. So yeah, like I said, 400,000 cases in the United States, 13,000 deaths. Obviously, New York has 140,000 cases
Yeah,
and 5,500 deaths. So by far the worst is in New York State. So moving on down to Kansas. Kansas, we currently have 905 cases and 30 deaths.
Wow.
Yeah,
That number continues to get steadily bigger.
that it does. And if you look on the map, there are always more counties showing cases, and there are always growing circles. So yeah, it's progressing. I don't know. Anything else coronavirus related that you've heard or want to talk about?
I don't have any specific news, but what continues to just the amount of, I guess, just crime in general, at least in Salina, seems to be getting wildly out of hand. Just taking a look on like the police scanner page. Yesterday was the third time I've seen something about guns being drawn in town.
In the last couple weeks.
Yeah. Like,
The town goes through phases, it seems like. When it starts to warm up, things start to get crazy.
really?
And it was that way last year, too. Like, last year was really rough. We had people from Wichita coming here to steal cars and get in high-speed chases in town on their way out, like, multiple times. Like,
Why? I
don't
don't understand.
It gets warm, so people start doing crazy stuff, man.
But like I
It's painful, isn't it? Goodness.
it's very painful. And I just don't understand. Like
Like the guy that last year, I don't know if he was from town or what, but he stole a car and drove it through the golf course.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
remember
and they
that.
had
Hell.
to shoot out. They had to shoot out with him. Yep,
that's just terrifying.
yep. He ended up injuring a few police officers. I think maybe the sheriff even. Like they ended up with like glass in their eye from.
Good
like,
God.
Yeah, having stuff like shot at around them. It was crazy. Like people talked about that for weeks.
I say apparently yesterday what I saw is there was guns drawn on an SUV somewhere on like Ohio and Crawford,
Yeah.
I guess. And I heard like a couple of weeks ago when was on one of my walks, or I had gotten back from my walk, like, I don't know, maybe an hour before this happened, but close to where my friend Devin lives, there was like someone who would like shot a rifle into the air.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
I don't understand people.
Welcome to Kansas.
Yeah, it's. I do think that things are made a little more complicated by the pandemic. I think people
Yeah.
there's some people that are just kind of losing it. I don't know why exactly, but yeah, there was a string of robberies in downtown Salina. The worst of which was I can't remember which store
Flower
it was.
Nook?
The Flower Nook, yeah.
Yeah, the guy got his car stolen from the garage out back, and they like beat him up for it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
scary.
Yep.
And that's just like
And it's
almost
crazy
in the
because
same
it's
block
a,
of where we have our
Right.
building downtown. Yeah.
it's a company car too. Like it's got like the Flower Nook like stickers all over it. Like it's a company car and somebody stole it.
I really hope
Like, you think
their
it would be
insurance
very-
covers that.
Be very obvious that it's a
Mhm.
company car that you stole.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, there's just people doing. I think everybody's just kind of
out doing
sick
stuff.
of being home doing
Yeah.
nothing. So that never
Yeah.
results in good things.
Mm-hmm.
It's very true.
Yeah, I saw on my walk yesterday, because I was at the office for part of the day. I did it around Indian Rock, and there was a family of like 4 down by the river.
Yeah.
Which I guess as a family unit, I guess it's fine. But
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think if they're outside doing something, it's obviously
Yeah.
less comforting to see them in a store together. Or,
yeah, definitely.
Very true.
I was saying I did get a chance yesterday to try out using my neck gaiter as kind of a makeshift mask, for lack of a better, just because I don't have
Yeah.
one, and I don't
Yeah.
want to take away a mask from someone who truly needs it, because the only time I ever go out is
Is
to
on
go on
walks.
is going to walk. So
Yeah.
and
Makes sense.
from what I understand, what I have now is roughly about as good as a cloth mask
Yeah.
would be. So, as long as I'm being conscious and like pulling it up before I pass people, then
Yeah.
because that's what I ended up doing yesterday. There's a couple different times I had passed some folks, so I just pulled it up.
Right. I know. I feel like every time I go out, I look at people like they all have the plague, but they might. you know, like
you're not
what-
wrong.
like sometimes I feel bad, but like people are always giving everybody else the side eye, and like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
One
Better
thing.
safe than sorry, I guess.
One thing I heard, and I think it was Fauci that said it, but a lot of times we think of viruses as like vindictive and like they're trying to jump between person to person, and in reality, it's more like it's a, it's like breeding. It's just
Right.
constantly having
Spreading.
children
Right.
viruses and just spreading, and like
Right.
I don't know, for some reason that helped me a little bit, just thinking not of it as like a
Combative type thing.
Exactly. It's just out there to conquer, which
Right.
somehow I don't know if that really helps anything at all. But
Well, I mean, it's very sci-fi-ish when you think about it.
yeah, it is.
Yep.
It really is.
There have been more people I've seen, like nationwide news, being arrested for not following like stay-at-home orders and stuff.
Yeah.
I keep seeing those news articles pop up every now and again, and then immediately I see people freaking out about how like the government is taking over and it's going to be martial law, and they're telling people what they can and can't do, and they're arresting people for being outside, and I'm like, well, maybe don't break the rules. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something that may be controversial, and so I apologize if I offend anyone. But there does seem to be a correlation between people that are patriotic
Yes.
heavily and people who don't
Yes.
trust the government, which I think is very ironic
Yes.
because they stand for the values, but they don't stand for the policy, I guess. And yeah, it's just odd.
Yeah, it's weird. I understand what you mean. I feel like there's a lot of weird dichotomies like that, and this might also be something that's weird and polarizing and upsetting, but like the same people who want to own guns and are like, guns are my right, you can't take them away, blah, 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 are also like the biggest supporters of the military. So, like, and the problem here is when you ask those people why they need their guns, it's so they can defend themselves from the government. But they support the government having a massive military. So, like,
I had never thought about that.
your gun isn't going to save you from the military. If the military decides to take your gun away, they're going to do it. With
Yeah,
their
that's
tanks
true.
and drones and giant guns and all those things that you paid tax dollars for. They're just going to take it. So, like, I don't know how those people can support wanting their own guns, but also, like, wholeheartedly support, like, the military. I don't get it.
I think with, in specifically with the coronavirus, it seems like, our lack of leadership from the top is hurting us in more ways than one. Like most presidents in this situation, this is a golden opportunity because it allows them to show their real leadership skills, and it allows them to bring the country together to fight some common enemy. And I truly wish that Trump was that person, that he would be able to bring us together to fight coronavirus because it would save lives. But unfortunately,
he's missing a major opportunity.
We're still in the middle of this partisan BS that's just really, it's quite literally killing people, and it's just not acceptable. And
just the fact that I feel like he's more worried about the economy than he is about the people.
Right.
Like he's like trying to weigh the loss of money versus the loss of human life, like against each other. Like the whole we're gonna have the country open by Easter is just a big ploy to like let everybody go back to work, but that's gonna get people killed.
It definitely is.
So
that's one of the reasons why he's not someone like I've never trusted him to begin with, but he's trying to run the country more like a business, and that you can't. He's not like. From my perspective, we want someone in office who's at least a kind of a civil servant to, someone that wants to work for the people, because the people is the country. Sounds like terrible grammar,
right?
But the people are the country, and I don't believe with any ounce of my being that he thinks of people other than money.
I would agree.
Yeah.
He doesn't care, and that's.
I think it's probably okay to run the country on business principles. Like, yes, keeping the economy good is something we should do. Yes, like making ourselves better, like economically, is something we should do. Yeah, you can probably run the country with business principles, but like you kind of also have to care about the people that are going to be making that money for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep hearing people reference the words of Winston Churchill in England and Great Britain during World War II, and I've been through a couple of museums that talked about his contribution to the war effort, and his message to the British people wasn't fluffy, and it wasn't like we're winning and we're gonna win this fight. It was we're gonna fight to the last man to take out the enemy, and he basically banded together the entire country and the entire Allied side just by saying like this is a tough enemy we're fighting, but we need to fight it anyway, and we need to fight it to the last man. And he just had that ability to bring people together, and that's what I really wish we had with the president, is just somebody who would unite us and make us feel like like these people that aren't taking the social distancing seriously, he's not helping that effort. He needs to be encouraging his supporters and people that aren't his supporters to do the right thing for the common man. Because it could be any of our grandparents, it could be any of our parents, it could be any of us that's going to suffer the consequences of not taking it seriously. So okay, let's move on to brighter, lighter things. I have a question of the day.
Okay.
This one's a little odd, but I'm excited to answer it and to see what you guys say. What about you do you seem to get the most comments about? I would say, personally, it's probably my music, just because that's where most people have seen me or see me. Yeah. And so that's where I get the most comments. It's like, yeah, I like that concert, or I like that piece of music. And so, yeah, that's probably mine.
For me, it is usually either related to my performance abilities, or and along with that, had a lot of folks say that I'm funny, even though I don't necessarily ever consider myself to be so.
I think you're plenty funny.
Yeah, I do
Well,
too.
thank you. So it's either one of those two, but the one for sure consistent is probably that I have the best hugs. Is what I've been told.
That's a good one.
I have been told that hugging me is like hugging a cloud. So.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I don't know. There's probably like two things I like semi-regularly hear, and like the first one is that I bake really good things. People know me for baking.
Nice.
And then like that I'm like super logical, and I don't know if this is a compliment or just like a really massive character flaw, but
I think pretty much all character flaws are also, pros for the most part.
Right. But I think debate did it to me. It's not that I always have to be right. It's that like if somebody challenges me with a topic, I'm willing to research it until I find the right answer. And then I will share that answer.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good quality you bring to the table, for sure. For sure. And Tim, hugs. That's a great quality you bring to the table. No, you have plenty of good traits as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
All that character acting. We need it for all of our shorts.
Seriously.
It's true.
If it were just Amber and I don't know that we really have shorts.
It's true.
We lean
It's
heavily.
true. Yeah,
Oh,
we'd have to
goodness.
find some talent. Because I'll film people doing crazy stuff all day, but doing the crazy stuff, that is not up my alley.
I like to perform. So.
Nice.
I've got a question.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's hear it.
And I'm fairly certain I know what both of your answers are going to be, but would you rather be able to control animals but not humans with your mind, or control electronics with your mind?
If I'm controlling electronics with my mind, can I see the screen in my mind, or do I have to be looking at the screen? Does that make sense?
I would think that you probably have to be looking at it.
So like I couldn't like sit at my house and control the bank's computers to like put lots of dollars in my account.
We always go back to this, don't we?
I think you would.
Look, guys. I want a really big house, okay?
I think you'd have to be in the same space in order.
I want an
happen.
industrial kitchen.
Listen, all you need to do is build a warehouse, and then put a kitchen inside.
There you go.
No, I think I would probably. I don't know. Control is such a weird word to me. Like, can I just ask animals to do my bidding and them do it?
Well, from what I'm understanding, this is it says control with your mind, so it's mind control. So you're willing them to do what you want, as I understand it. So it's not really an ask. It's like if you wanted Barnabas to jump up and down and just looked at him and thought it, then he would do it automatically. But although this does have the caveat of but not humans. So
Right.
Specifically
That's like
animals.
I feel weird about abusing power. So like, I don't know, another sentient being like forcing them to do something would like freak me out a little bit.
I feel like gaming would be very interesting with mind control.
Dude, oh man, you could like be lightning fast. Like if you could just think it and it happens, like all of the possibilities at once, like oh man. That would be crazy.
I would just use it. I think I would take the electronics.
Yeah.
I don't like. There's no. I would have the same call. I would feel really bad about trying to control
Forcing animals to do things.
Yeah.
Right, but in reality, like the only thing I would probably say, like make them do would be to quiet down or calm down if possible, or
That's true.
Go out and go to the bathroom or come back in. Like,
Like will them to go to the bathroom. Go pee, right.
like that would be like I would maybe consider that, but
Just
I would
imagining
use
your
the
cat.
electronics. Huh?
I'm just imagining your cat just like
Right. Suddenly just having to be
My bowels have loosened, master.
Oh man, no, I would never. I think even with that, I don't think you could mind control cats. I don't think you could.
Yeah, I would agree.
Cats
Just have a mind of their own.
They do. I think I would take electronics simply more so out of like laziness.
Yes.
Me too.
And to be fair, like if it's anything with a TV, I already have a remote control, so it's not like I have to get up and do it anyway. But
if I could control the microwave from my living room,
right.
For me, it's like less reliance on my keyboard and my mouse. It's just like being able to input data as quickly as you think it. That would be
God, that'd
that would
crazy.
be really, really handy.
Can you imagine how easy it would be to like write papers and stuff? Like,
Oh, man.
yeah.
that makes me
Well-
almost wish that I could like go back to college and test it out.
Yeah.
You could
'Cause
give
if I
yourself a
could-
deadline.
Right. If I could think about it and type it, man.
Okay,
that'd
so
be great.
so interesting side note to this.
'Kay.
I was reading a paper, I believe. Well, okay, it was
On
a,
mind control?
It was,
Were
was
you hoping
an-
to mind control us?
it was an article about a paper, and what they were discovering is that they can decipher text from brainwaves.
Cool.
What's interesting, so they use it's an AI program that that basically detects patterns in your brain. The
Nice.
really big interesting caveat is that it randomly will get words wrong.
Huh.
And the words are like incredibly wrong. They're not like
Right.
a mispronunciation or a it's not like, oh, I said squirrel and you said sugar glider. No, it's like you said squirrel and it said box of paper. It's
Right.
like one word
It's-
out of a
it's
sentence will just be
probably based-
totally wrong.
It's probably based on like brain waves and like the frequency you say words in your head. Because like if I say squirrel the exact same amount I say box of paper, it probably looks the same as a brainwave, I would assume.
Interesting. Maybe.
So like it just picks up whichever one and then it just plugs one in. If it's not right, then it's not right.
They did say so. How they knew all this was they had the people in the study think or say a sentence, and then they recorded the brainwaves, and they had the AI program look back at the sentence that they said in their brain and try to match the two. And so that's how they could compare the two. They did say though that it's limited to a very small number of words at this moment. You can't have
That makes sense.
Or there was some really important caveat that was basically it's limited to a certain scope. Amber, do you have a question for us?
Okay, here we go. This is a good one. All right. If you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends and family assume you had done?
Oh no! Oh wow, that's a good question.
Uh-oh.
It is a good question.
Right now, it'd probably be breaking the quarantine.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's funny.
But I'm trying to think.
I honestly can't think of anything my family would think. I don't.
Honestly, like, I feel like my family knows that I'm, like, too much of a goody two-shoes, and if, like, I just got arrested, like, for absolutely no reason, it would be something stupid, like me getting a parking ticket, like, 10 years ago that I just didn't realize I had, and then, like, me owing the state so much money, they just, like, put a warrant out for my arrest. It'd be something ridiculous like that.
My response would be, like, when I started, or when I took over my first business, the Courtyard Gallery and Bakery, there was no guide to doing business. There was no, like, okay, here's the things you have to do.
Right.
It was just, like, totally open-ended. It was like, sales tax. I discovered one day I had to pay sales tax. Another day I discovered that I had to pay property tax. Another day I discovered that there's, like, 3 different health inspections that I didn't, like, I thought there was a health inspection. I didn't realize we had different ones for different reasons. And so I would say, kind of along those lines, my biggest fear is
Like
like
missing
not knowing
something
that I
like
need to be
that?
doing something
Right.
and then getting in trouble because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Like that's horrifying to me.
That makes sense. Yep. Yep.
Just like with income tax. Man, I was hoping you would say, what's income tax? Darn.
What's income tax?
Oh my gosh. No. I think I'm along the same lines as Amber. Like I think my family would be very surprised.
You don't think they'd like jump to the worst conclusion that like you like beat somebody to death or something? Like
I mean, that would maybe be the only thing. Like not that specific, but like,
right? I was like, okay.
when I was a young child, when I was a young warthog.
Right, that's exactly what just
young
came to mind.
warthog.
I just about started singing that.
Warthog.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I had really bad anger issues, like really, really bad. And I'm not sure exactly what kind of quieted those down, because I consider myself to be a fairly chill person.
Yeah.
Anymore. Like the only times I ever get like super upset, usually related to just being frustrated in general, like when I'm working on a project. Right. Stuff like that. It's usually based around like electronics not doing what I want them to do.
Hey, well, you know what would make that better?
Mind
Being
control.
able to mind control
That's
your
true.
electronics.
That is exactly true. Oh man, that would make those motion graphics so much easier.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just like,
yeah,
I
if you
want
could
you
just
to do
think
this.
it, if
I
you
want
could
you
just
to do
think it
this.
and it would happen. Holy crap, that would be amazing.
You would become like the most amazing motion graphic designer there
yeah,
was.
no kidding.
That would be awesome.
I hadn't considered that, but yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like my dad does the same. Like he gets frustrated with technology. Although I think his is more related to a little bit his eyesight because he's got macular degeneration in both eyes, and so he can still see, but it's just not. It's harder for him.
Yeah.
And so with that comes frustration.
Yeah, I get that.
Makes sense.
But yeah, for me, I think it would be something like I snapped one day and just like not necessarily beat someone down, but like snapped and just like punched a hole through somebody's wall or like my wall or something. Like I don't know. I can't think of anything in specific that they would think.
Yeah.
I've got one.
Okay.
Would you rather be an average person in the present or a king of a large country 2,500 years ago?
An average person in the present, without a doubt.
Reasons behind it?
Modern healthcare, modern entertainment, modern plumbing, modern electricity, heating and cooling. Like
Yeah.
when you look at what life was like back in those days,
we're living like the kings lived, pretty much.
You didn't have a dentist. You didn't have. I mean,
right.
There's just so many modern comforts that they would have loved. I mean, they would have given up their privilege in a moment.
Right. Oh no, I cut my finger and then you died from gangrene like a month later.
Yeah.
No thanks.
I think I would also take the average person. That just seems like the...
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good question, though.
I'm also one of those people, like, I would never want to be, like, wholly in charge of something. Like, I don't mind, like, when I'm doing a show, like, being, like, directing a show and being in charge of something in that way. But, like, being in charge of a huge, like, of, like, a country, I just... It's kind of like... I love performing, but I would never want to be famous because I just no privacy and
yeah, there's definitely truth to that. I like leadership, but I only like it when there's a good, strong, like way to delegate. You know, and like an absolute ruler like kings were 2,500 years ago, where you decided people's lives and deaths and
right,
like that. No.
No.
No, but an organizational, like modern leaders, I'm more comfortable with that idea personally. But
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Well, I think that'll about do it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in to another Fili Daily Vlog. We'll be back tomorrow and Friday with more episodes. We just came out with a new episode of our video game playthrough yesterday.
Yep.
On a Risk of Rain 2. There's a great one that Amber edited together for us. And today we're going to record another one of those and get it out to you shortly. So, thanks a lot for tuning in. If you like this video, please like and subscribe below. If you want to be alerted every time we post a new video, please hit that notification bell as well. So from all of us here at Fili Creative, have a great day. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.